Hello everyone, Abby here, Purple Cottage Crafts, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys this mound of eco dye goodness. I have been so busy, probably maybe the past, well, not consecutive days, but I say about 6 days in total of me working on these. This is all a result of 35 individual bundles, but 12, I think, or 13 batches of doing this. And so I've been kind of going crazy. I wanted to build up a really good stash for myself and a couple of my girlfriends I'm going to be sharing this with, but I also wanted to put together some packs in bundles so I can put them on my website. And that is Miss Sophie in the background if you hear any noise. So before I get to kind of showing you guys what's on my table, if you've never heard of eco dyeing before, you can just Google it. You can put in eco dyeing on fabric or paper, or just straight up eco dyeing in YouTube in the search, and you'll find just tons and tons of videos. I first did this when I attended the Orly Avenary Passport to Journal 4-day, I think it was 3 days or 4 days. I think it was 3-day workshop when I still lived in Oregon. It was a Christmas gift for my husband. I have a video where I'm showing you guys the flip through of that passport, and I'll have a link to that in the description box below. I also have a few videos where I'm doing this on my own for the very first time a few years ago, and I'll link that as well because I kind of show you the process, and then I do the I actually unbundle each one on camera so you guys can see how that looks. So I didn't film myself doing it this time because I've already done that on my channel. So as you can see, there is quite the stash up on my table, and you can't even see everything. I have a lot of the stuff stacked super high because my table isn't quite big enough for this. So I wanted to share with you guys what I did and kind of give you a sneak peek per se of what's going to be coming up my website and some different eco bundles I'm going to be putting together. So first up, these are the actual tea bags that I used in the different dye baths I did. And I have a few different styles of tea bags. And so I've already emptied them out, and as much as I could anyway. And so I have that, regular traditional size. And then I have like the square, like this is part of a square. Yeah, this is part of one of the square tea bags. And just kind of a combination of all. And then I have these ones that you fill yourself, and I got them on Amazon. And they are like this, and you just drop the stuff in and then you tie it. And that's why you see kind of like an ombre effect there. And let's see. Just kind of I'm trying to find a whole square one here to kind of show you what I'm talking about in case you've never. Celestial Seasonings does a lot of their teas where they're 2 bags that are perforated but they're attached together and you just take it apart. So what I did my best was to just as carefully as I could just to take, this is one of the bad examples. I should have grabbed a better one where I just as carefully as I could, here this is a better example of how I just kind of slit on the very top and I just kind of brushed everything out. That way, if you happen to get this one in your bundle, you'll have the option of using it as a pocket if you want or whatever. So I try to keep them as intact as possible. I personally I open mine up and use them in that way, but you guys can do what you like, of course. So I'll have a sampling of those in there. And then right here, these are all of the, well, there's more on the table, but these are all the different, it's just a cotton string that I use. And then I just have some bits of some lace that I use as the ties on the bundles. Sophie, she has to get her loudest toy to play with right now. And she's been playing with it all day until I start filming. So this is just some white yarn that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I liked it because it kind of has that slubby kind of look to it. And so this is what I used on the bundle. So each one, of course, is going to be different. I have this longer piece here that was the edging off a huge doily that I had. So I'll be including some of those in each of the bundles as well, the bundles. And then I just have a variety of different types of paper. Some are vintage, some are not. Like this here, this is part of some drywall tape. And I love how that turned out. And so I have all different types of rusty things that I've used. Some that I rusted myself, like, the paper clips, safety pins, push pins, or not push pins, the brads that you poke in and you fold the back on, those types of things. I have those in there. And then some of the larger marks that you're going to see on some of the materials, those are items that I was able to dig up at the property when we lived on Jeff and Angie's property. It was their neighbor's property. And I have a video series on that too, and I'll link that below in case you're interested in watching me kind of salvage those items. So you're going to see different sizes of marks and different layers and textures and stuff, and some don't have marks as far as like paper clips or whatever. It just depended upon how delicate the paper was, so I didn't rip it or anything. But I just have, old maps. Some are old, some are not. This is actually the green masking paper you buy at the hardware store. There's like an old check there. This is just some thicker packaging. I have some flashcards. This is just an old graph. Again, old book pages. And what is this one here? Oh, this is part of a manila envelope that I received some stuff in. and just some really fun stuff. We have some packaging from Amazon, and then just some thicker vellum. And this was some of my favorite material to use. I love the texture of it and how crinkly and the tactile feel. I just love it. Now my favorite thing I'd have to say as far as paper that I end up using, and I will be using more of these down the road, these are just some white craft sacks that I got from Hobby Lobby. They're actually in the gift aisle, like where you get like, you know, tissue paper and bags and stuff. They had them on the end of that aisle. So I grabbed a pack of the white and then a pack of the craft. And I love these marks that I got. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. So I love these holes that I got, and those are from those gold I keep saying push pins. They're like they're the gold brads, I think is what they're called, and you poke them through and you flip the back out, that kind of a thing. For some reason I cannot think of what they're called. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, I love the markings that I got from that. And then I have some layers of there's a safety pin mark. There, you are going to find that because this is paper and it's been soaking in water for a few hours, that sometimes you're going to have little holes and tears like that, but that just adds to the character, I think, of the item. This is some Italian crepe paper. This is not the same that you find at a party store. This is different, much different. It's a lot thicker. You can't even hardly tear it, like to rip it. I tried and it doesn't really rip that way. But I had to actually use a tool to poke holes in it so I could get those brads to go in there. But this is a really fun material, so I used some of that. Let's see, just some, you know, index cards, some plain, some with a grid. This is part of, where'd it go? Oh, I already showed you that one. Like, this is just the top half of drawing paper that comes in the spiral kind of bound, and I just ripped off a smaller strip, and then I have some that are larger strips because I just love how that looks. But you can just see the really cool textures and stuff. So you guys have probably already figured out by now, if you're not new to my channel, that I am filming in the house. I forgot to mention that earlier. So, because I have everything in here, because this is kind of where I had things laid out to dry across all of my countertops, on my table, and I was drying the fabric pieces on some drying racks that I have in the house. So it was easier for me to just kind of keep everything here since it's already here. And I'm trying my best to film this in the best angle that I can. So I'm sorry it's not the normal overhead view that I typically have on my videos. So I'm hoping it's okay enough you guys can kind of see. So this here is just some tissue paper, and the really cool marking that you're seeing on here, I'll open up so you can see a little better. This is a metal bobbin, and I rusted that a long time ago, and I put that on there, and I just love that imprint you get on there. It's just a really, really cool look, I think. So you can always double it up if you want like that, because you can see both layers. Or, you know, you can just take it and just get, you know, just the one, you know, just a single layer where it's a little bit more translucent. You can see my fingers through there. So just all different types of papers, materials. There's tags, of course. I mean, I could spend all day kind of showing you guys each individual one, but my video is already long enough because I'm such a chatty Cathy. It's so fun when you open these bundles up because no two are alike at all, because it's just the way that you, even if you use the same exact layers of the same papers, the same fabrics, the same, you know, different rusty bits, they're still going to come out different because each of those elements are going to absorb the dye bath water in a completely different way. So it's always so much fun and so exciting for me when I open up the different bundles. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see the fabrics a little bit better than you could earlier. I am filming, I have you guys on my small tripod on a plank of wood on two of my bar stools. One's upside down, so I have a platform. So I'm trying my best to show this to you guys. So I apologize if this is not the best. But when I do the video of showing you the bundles I'm putting together and that I'll have available on my website, you'll be able to see a better view because I'll do that out in my normal crafting area. So there's all kinds of different textiles and fabrics that I use. Flour sack, there's some burlap right there. And a lot of these larger pieces are the ones that I use to wrap the bundles in. So let me open this one up here so I can kind of show you an example. So I would wrap the bundles in these, and sometimes I would use 2 or 3 papers to wrap it, and I would layer different larger rusty pieces on. So here is one of those, and this is just some cotton. I have different types of muslin, some vintage linens that I used in there. I have chenille blanket pieces, this one right here. I did some slow stitching on it with just some black embroidery floss on there just to kind of give it a fun little look. And so you can do all kinds of different things. It doesn't have to be just thinner fabric pieces or anything, because I've done things as thick as the chenille and this trim right here. This one took a little bit longer to air dry, but it was fine because I had a drying rack for it. This is just some trim that I got from Hobby Lobby on the clearance section, or in the remnant section, excuse me. And you can see the paper, hope you can see the paper clip marks on there. Here's another large piece that I used to cover or wrap around one of the bundles. Oh, that was Sophie. She just about slipped off her little staircase over there. Anyhow, so this is a really cool piece right here. So these larger ones like this, I will cut these down so I can spread more of this around in the different bundles I'm going to be putting together. So I am going to do my best to make them as fair as possible. I'm not going to say there's 20 pieces of fabric, there's 15 pieces of paper. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be just kind of like a grabbing thing, and I want to have it kind of as best equal amounts as I can for each one. So just to kind of make this go around a bit more, if that makes any sense. So, and then these are just some of the different materials that I use to tie the different bundles with, all different types of fabrics. Just some really cool marks on these fabrics right here. Look at that. Is that just awesome? I just love this so much. This is gonna be so hard for me to part with these things. One, because it's not hard to do this, but it is, you know, it's a fairly involved process. I mean, you have to prepare the materials and get the dye baths ready and all that kind of stuff. So it's, you know, it's an involved process, but it's not difficult. And so I don't want to discourage anybody from trying this for sure. And here's this piece here, longer bit there. And let's see here, I'm trying to find some different materials I haven't shown you yet. Okay, we'll just kind of grab this stack here. So these are just some vintage crochet panels that I did in a couple different batches. So of course they look different. This is just from a vintage lace tablecloth. I have just some cotton trim there. Let's see. This is, what's this one? This is part of a drop cloth canvas that I cut apart. And let's see, this is some fabric by the yard that I got from Hobby Lobby. So like I said, I have a mixture of vintage and just, you know, new day stuff you can go buy on your own, or even thrifted items. So this is just some felt. I wanted to kind of play around with that. I didn't use felt in my first batch before, and I'm very happy with the results. I did get some rusting on there. I have more than one piece of that. Now these are from some thrifted clothing that I got. And this is kind of it's a blue pinstripe, and this was white originally. And then this is just some of the trim that's around, that goes around the arm piece. So you got flour sack towel. This is actually these are from a pair of men's work pants. Just kind of a little thicker material. And here's some of this different type of sheer. And some of these have holes in them because of the pin pricks. And then some of them I intentionally made the holes in them just to kind of get that kind of rusted eco-dyed look around the edges of the holes, if that makes any sense. And this is some cheesecloth that's right here. It's got a really cool look to it. Especially love the edges of that. Just very, very divine. Now this is from a curtain panel this is the panel from a curtain, I should say, that I got from Bed Bath & Beyond on clearance. I'm trying to find another one because I did a bunch of different panels of it. Okay, so here are just a few different patterns. It's a curtain panel. It was like, and it has like different blocks of the same blue colors, but just in different patterns. So just really cool marks on there. You can use the front or the back, whichever side you want to use. And then here's just a different pattern. And this one has some really cool holes in it because I used more of the push pins. I folded the piece like that so I get some really cool marks. And then this is another section of it here. So just lots of really fun, cool things. You don't have to use specifically, you know, old fabrics or anything. You can definitely use thrifted items because a lot of this is thrifted. Even the vintage stuff, of course, is thrifted. And I have some things that you can buy by the yard, like at Hobby Lobby or whatever kind of fabric store you go to. And this piece right here, this is just some different material from an upholstery section. It's where you put like the binding or the tape in when you're making curtains at home. And this has a really cool look to it. So I really wish I did my overhead because I feel like you guys aren't seeing these as good as I can see them. So this is just some more trim, and I just did some stitching on here. And then some of these I wrapped up like that. Some of them I tied the bundles with just to kind of get different marks. This is from thrifted, it was brand new actually. It's from Bed Bath & Beyond. And it was a curtain panel, and it's like a really pretty lavender lilac-y. And I cut a small section off because you guys know me in purple, because I wanted to experiment and see how it looks. And I really like how that turned out. So really, really fun piece there. And this is the edging off of another thrifted item. And I just did some stitching on the top roll on the top piece there, and the front and the back of that piece. This is some of the crinoline from a wedding dress that I thrifted. I have some vintage bank coin sacks that I stuck in there, and this is the writing on part of one of them. So this is a really fun material to use as well. And here's just another stack, and I'm just trying to kind of quickly peek through these and show you some really cool ones. It's just some more material there. Look at those cool marks. I just love it. This is just such a fun and therapeutic process. I am that crazy person who loves to iron. I love it. It's very calming and relaxing to me. And I love doing this process too because it's the same. Look at that really cool rusty piece there in the center. Just some more crinoline, different types of materials for upholstery, and then just different, fabrics, like base fabrics is what I call them. Just all kinds of different things that are in here. I mean, it's just endless. Here's another piece of the chenille blanket. It was white originally. This is from a thicker drop cloth, and I love to use those for my different art journals and writing journals and things like that. And then I have, this is some flour sack towel here. This is one of the pieces where I wrapped the bundle. That's why it's a little bit larger. But again, I'll do my best to kind of, cut these down to, usable. So I'm not gonna cut them down to small like that. I want to just have enough to share with everybody. Speaking of, this is another piece of the felt with more of the markings on it. And then this really fun piece here, just folded over the selvage edge and just did some basic stitching. So it'd be great for like a little fabric flip or pocket or something like that, or tuck spot or something. So as you guys can see, I just have this huge amount of different types of fabrics, textiles, papers, ephemera, all kinds of fun stuff that is in here. So I'll be having a great time going through this and trying my best to not keep everything, because the point of this was to share with everybody some of the different items that I've been putting together, which is why I did such a huge batch of these. So as far as the papers, like I said, here's a couple different textures I wanted to show you of the papers. Just an example. So like this is just some corrugated cardboard. This is some paper I actually got from Hobby Lobby, and it's in the scrapbook section. It's $1.99 a sheet, and I don't want to pay $1.99 a sheet because I know we're all about the deal and stuff, so I waited until this was on sale for 40% off. I did buy one sheet at regular price because I wanted to kind of test it and play with it, and I liked it. So I've got some old book pages, some in English, some are not. And then this is just some vintage onion skin paper. And then there's going to be some, I love that sound, typewriter paper, old library card catalogs, piano roll paper, and then I have some more of the tissue paper. This one here is a watermarked vintage typewriter paper. It's got the watermark in there, and then here is part of one of the different papers on there, so I'm going to leave it because that's just naturally how it was. This is, aside from the sack that I showed you guys, this is probably my second favorite material that I used. And this is some thicker vellum. This was actually a vellum envelope, and they came from Michael's. It was Recollections brand, and I've had them for years. I think I actually got these when I was still living in Florida. So I look at that cool texture on there. Isn't that just awesome? I just love it. The feel of it and how well it took to the rusting and the different dyes that I had in there, the different teas and stuff. This is a great, great substrate to work on. I was very, very pleased with that. I have some vintage yearbook pages. These happen to be from the 1940s, 1943 to be exact. Just some art book pages, drop cloth canvas, different types. I have different types of material that is used as backing, upholstery stuff. I even have cloth that is used for making diapers and burp cloths. Here's another one that was cover of one of the bundles. You can see those really cool marks on there. I just used a variety of different rusty things, so just kind of give it a really fun kind of eclectic look. This is part of a late 1800s petticoat, and why I decided to cut it up, I don't know. That's why I bought it. But I have other ones that I hoard because I think we're all that way. I love vintage and antique clothing. It's part of my love of classic movies and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I just cut up a very small section of it, but I wanted to try and see how that would turn out. So whoever gets this piece in your bundle, you're gonna be very lucky, because that is probably one of the oldest materials that I've used in this particular round. And just some more different types of cotton, different types of textures and stuff in there. Look at that really cool large piece. That was one of the other ones I used to wrap the bundles in. And this is the edging off of a vintage tablecloth right there. And there's like 3 stacks you guys can't even see because they're underneath where the camera is sitting. This is some vintage wallpaper that I use, sheet music. This is the top part of one of the manila envelopes I told you about. I bought some old photos and I like that they're still writing. This is not old, obviously, it was new, and the guy just wrote on there. But I liked how I just like using it, and you can really see the detail and impression from the rusty paper clips that I used. This is just some receipt tape. Let's see. This is, again, some thicker packaging that I use. See more of I have vintage receipts in here. And it's kind of more of the same, I think. Oh, here's a piece of a vintage sheet music. So, and there's tags, of course. These I just tossed into the dye bath before I went to bed. I didn't have it on. It was already cold, and I just dumped them in there just to kind of see what kind of a look I would get. And I really like how those turned out. So these are originally white cardstock or tags, and I think they're from Ranger, if I remember correctly. I have all kinds of envelopes and stuff in here too. I just can't seem to find them easily. This is from an old record album sleeve that I thrifted. Thought that turned out really, really cool. This is also some paper I got from Hobby Lobby at the same time as the other one I showed you a moment ago. And I did buy this at regular price too, because like I said, I wanted to test it. This was $1.99 a sheet as well. And it looks like faux leather kind of, and it even feels more like it after you do this process. So I just love all the different textures on there. This is part of the carbon piece of an old receipt book. Love it. This is vintage and I love it. It's really cool. Here are just a few more examples, or one more example of that thicker vellum I was telling you about. So I just cut the envelope down, and I think I showed you already or told you, but this is part of a piano roll paper. And I also have smaller tags too. There's quite a few of these I did, but I can only find 2 at the moment, of course, because I'm filming. So just really cool texture you got on there. But I wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of how much I have and the quantity and the different types of textiles and materials and things like that that you can see that I use. Now I did put up an Instagram reel, and my Instagram is just Purple Cottage Crafts. Everything is that. I have a link to it in my description box. Always is always there. And this right here is actually a pair of some pants right there. Some more. But just all kinds of really cool materials. So anyway, I'll put a link to that Instagram reel because I have a little bit better video than me just, doing this. But just to kind of show you guys the volume. Might have a shadow because I'm standing in front of the window. Hopefully not. And just to let you see the mass amount of the stuff that I have. So I'm definitely going to have a lot for my own personal stash and for a couple of my girlfriends that I promised them to. And then lots to put on my website in different eco-dye bundles. So I'm really excited about getting this process started because I love this kind of thing. It's just, like I said, very therapeutic for me, and just lots of different materials here to use and your different projects. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to sort through all of this and make my different bundles that I want to do, because I like to package stuff cute. At least I think it's cute. I love receiving things like that, and so I want to make this look as cute as I possibly can. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to get all these different bundles put together, just due to the quantities you guys can see and just the time to do that in between other things I'm working on. But my goal is to have these up on my website within under 2 weeks. I'm gonna say about a week and a half, because I don't like to put time constrictions on myself too much, because I can only do this kind of stuff around my working on my facial paint that I have. So I don't want to promise things or do anything that's going to disappoint anybody if I say I'm gonna have it up next Wednesday and I don't. So but I will definitely share with you guys on all of my social media, as well as here, of course, when I have things up on my website. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed looking at getting a peek of some of the different items that I have here, and just kind of mentioning the different materials and textiles and papers and things like that. And I will have all of the different videos that I mentioned earlier linked in the description box below, so be sure to go and check that out if you're interested. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!